I open this meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission at 6:30 PM. Clerk, please call roll.
Chair Alcorn, Vice Chair Murib Steele,
Here.
Commissioner Field, Commissioner Fisher,
Here.
Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner Honey, Commissioner Ritter,
Here.
Commissioner Smith. With Commissioner Field absent, Commissioner Smith moves into a voting position. We have quorum.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If no objections then the agenda is approved. Oh, I skipped.
You're good. Now you can move on to the minutes.
I need a motion for a second for August 19th, 2024.
Yeah, so moved.
I'll second.
Yay. Oh, now it doesn't say that. Public comment.
Read what it says there.
Oh, okay. If you wish to address the board under public comments, please sign in on the public speaker form before the call to order for this meeting. Public comments is an opportunity to express opinions regarding issues that are not part of the public hearing on tonight's agenda. A separate opportunity will be provided for comments for any public hearing. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. We expect comments to be civil. Disrespectful or disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. The board is not authorized under the Colorado Open Meeting Law to discuss comments or take action at this meeting on any issue raised by the public comment. That is not part of tonight's agenda.
I'm sorry, before we go there, we have to vote on the motion that's on the table.
I'm not reading it again.
That's fine, we got the motion. Open the meeting, the voting.
Yay.
Yeah, I think she knows it August minutes.
You're basically voting to approve my certification of those minutes.
From August.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yay.
Close it. The vote is six. Sorry, the
6
vote is
to-
6 in favor, the motion carries.
Okay.
Now
Now-
public comment.
Okay. Pam Chadbourne. Hi.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Pam Chadbourne, I live a block and a half from here, so I'm going to talk about my concerns about historic preservation in Littleton, and specifically the protection of Littleton Boulevard, the mid-century modern commercial assets of Littleton Boulevard, which were found by Colorado Preservation Inc. to be one of the 5 most endangered places in the state in 2014. And now it is 10 years later. We did at least get a survey paid for by a grant. We had to wait to get the grant and then did the survey in 2018. And it's got a plan forward. It's got three recommendations. They all include protecting Littleton Boulevard assets. And then I would go from there and start to talk about the residential assets off of there in the mid-century modern strengths of the whole north side. My concern is that that's not on the city's work plan or your work plan as far as I can tell. And it's got to be number one. It is the most endangered asset now, especially by the city's turn toward economic development at all costs, any costs, without regard to the damage or destruction done to the character of the city or the input that the public gave during the envision process to the comprehensive plan, which said we like the quaint character of Littleton, we like the human scale, we like this feeling of the small town. And the new code allows very different development from that. And the properties on Littleton Boulevard are in the crosshairs. Unless we act quickly, we're going to lose them. And I'm just going to say, I remember when the ULUC was passed, we were promised a historic preservation plan to be incorporated. It wasn't in there. It wasn't in there. Unified land use code, and it didn't include the historic preservation plan, which still outrages me, but oh, we'll have it within a year. It's now 2-3 years later. There is no historic preservation plan in the ULUC. You know, cities must integrate their work. And we have a siloed, stovepiped city where economic development is separate from community development, and we don't have urban planning, urban design on staff. We've got, I mean, I'm looking at you because you can patch or crutch that to a degree by saying, we are here. We feel strongly that for Littleton to preserve its mid-century modern assets, we've got to get in there now. And I think that's true. The Littleton Boulevard sub-area plan and all this stuff is moving forward without you. It is wrong. And so I'm just going to beg you again to insert yourselves into the city's management plan and advocate for preservation of mid-century modern in Littleton. Thanks.
That's all for public comments. HPC Resolution 7/2024 Downtown Historic District Historic Preservation Grant Awards. And staff will present.
So we're just going to go quickly kind of over the applications that we received and then staff's recommendations for awards. Just a quick overview, there's $50,000 within the grant fund this year, 2024. We did receive 3 applications. After review of them, 2 of them were eligible for the program. The first being the work being done at Grand Station, 2299 West Main Street. So this is kind of showing what it is currently and then what was approved under, actually, last meeting. They do have an approved COA. The next one is an application to, and apologies, that was primarily for the facade improvements and architectural services. I think it'll be primarily going towards the facade improvements. They are utilizing another grant that the city offers to cover some of the architectural services, which is allowed under kind of the city programs. The next one is 5718 South Rapp Street, which is the Weston Masonic Temple. They are looking to replace the roof. It is a non-historic roof that they would be replacing in kind, so it does not require a certificate of appropriateness, but it does aid in the kind of stewardship and longevity of the building by having a roof that is functional and replaced. It's also not visible from the right-of-way, that change. So staff is recommending that the application for Grand Station receive $20,000. This is because it does help further the use of the building, but it is not actively necessarily trying to kind of maintain the integrity, et cetera. They obviously worked with us on that process, and it will help kind of maintain the use of the building, but not necessarily furthering kind of the improvement of the historic integrity. So we felt that $30,000 for the Masonic Temple made a little bit more sense. It's not as showy of a project, but it does go a little bit farther in terms of maintaining that integrity, maintaining that stewardship of the building. So that's kind of our recommendation for the split. And I keep saying our, Jesse Sheets and Jamie Kraut, Economic Development and another planner, helped review these applications with me. So that is our recommendation at the moment. Do you guys have any questions or concerns?
I have a question. Does the 5718 South Wrap have insurance?
I would assume so, but that wasn't a question of, I believe they're replacing the roof kind of proactively, so I don't know how that goes with insurance. It's not a question we ask within the application.
Are we allowed to ask about the third application not being eligible?
Yeah, the work was done without building permits. It was a replacement of a parking lot lighting and an exterior door. And that just didn't receive a building permit for the lighting. So that was kind of why we decided to pull them out. And from a kind of preservation standpoint as well, it wasn't necessarily kind of furthering historic preservation within the district either, so.
It may be in the packet, I just haven't found it yet. How were the total amounts determined, the recommended amounts?
Yeah, we opted to split them this way because we felt that the Weston Masonic Temple was a little bit more in line with historic preservation and good stewardship in the sense that it wasn't altering really the integrity of the building at all. It was just replacing a roof that is having issues, has aged, and so it was just wanting to kind of cover that kind of issue. And then, so we felt doing kind of instead of an equal split, doing the 30-20 because the Grand Station project doesn't really attempt to improve the integrity. I think they worked with us obviously to kind of maintain a little bit of that integrity, kind of that space from that kind of the main filling station area. But that was kind of how we looked at it, is that one that goes a little bit farther in maintaining the kind of original integrity of the building, et cetera. So that was kind of how we decided a 20-30 split as opposed to, say, 50-50.
Thank you.
So you didn't ask if the temple has insurance, correct? Because if insurance was involved, they would be replacing the roof.
That was not part, no, it was not part of the application. We didn't ask them specifically that.
So now I want to be nosy a little bit about how do we ask them for sort of invoice or proof of cost of the work that they have applied to have done, and then to validate that that was indeed what they spent the money on? Do we have any check and balance like that?
Yeah, so the Masonic Temple has not completed the work yet. They included a bid, essentially. So they have not completed the work yet. The way we would go about that is kind of through the process, to your point, it's a reimbursement grant. So they show what work has been done, the invoicing and stuff when they get through that process. And they would have to go through the proper permitting and whatnot. So we don't require the COA, but I would see the building permit when it comes in to know that they have applied for that and kind of are moving with the process. And we would verify the work was done.
I just have a question on the station building.
Yes, sir.
So the architectural fee is what the grant is really sort of targeting?
Yes, they had applied for it for the architectural services. Facade improvements are also an option. They are looking at receiving potentially funds through a COVID grant, downtown grant,
Right.
that Economic Development is providing. And so because the architectural services have already been spent, they are probably going to apply that for the COVID grant and then cost related to the facade improvements with this one. So it's a small piece essentially of the overall costs, but we do allow them to kind of have options for both. They are just moving with the money they've already spent for the COVID grant because that has federal deadlines associated with it.
Yeah, because when I read your report, and I sort of agreed with your comment about they didn't do any really historic preservation on the actual building itself. So I just wanted to, okay.
Yes, sir.
So you said that, like, they submit something, and we don't know what that total is on these individual 2 grants, correct? Of, like, the total, oh, okay.
Yep. Yes, I believe, and I can kind of pull up, I believe the Masonic Temple, I believe, requested about 40-something, actually, I believe, and then, or that, it's an 80-20 split as to what the grant may cover. And so I think their total cost was around 60, and then I think they're technically requesting within the 40s, and then Grand Stations, I wanted to say, was around $320,000, so definitely much larger than what we had or could fund. But yeah, that's kind of how they broke out.
Purely hypothetically, if they for some reason couldn't validate that they spent the funds that they were allotted from a grant, did they have to return it?
They don't get it until they've proven.
Okay, good.
She said that once.
Yes, I believe, yeah, it's reimbursement-based grant, for what you're asking. No, you're good.
I'm a lot of true crime, okay?
Gotcha,
It's happening
okay.
On my free time. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, it looks like also, make sure to turn on your microphones when we're talking.
All of them?
Just whenever you're talking, make sure to hit it if you haven't.
So we're gonna call for a motion? We're gonna call for a motion, guys.
I move to approve HBC Resolution 072024, awarding the 2024 Downtown Historic District Historic Preservation Grant applications to the following amounts: $20,000 Eric Hyatt for the Summers Oil Service Station Grand Station at 2299 West Main Street, and $30,000 to the Western Masonic Temple Association, Inc. for the Western Masonic Temple at 5718 South Rapp Street.
Second?
Now we're calling for a vote, guys.
Sorry, do we need to do any discussion before we vote, or do we just vote?
Would you guys like to discuss? Is there any discussion? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate that I think the proposals are reasonable, and, yeah,
I agree. I
okay.
think, yeah. I can't really comment on the other one. I can only talk about the temple guy, right?
Well, do you have to abstain
From talking about.
from voting?
No, yeah, what was that comment? I'm sorry. Why can't you vote on both of them?
Because my dad owns one of them.
We need to take a brief recess.
Did you copy that, Ben?
I do need to disclose, and I did speak with the city attorney about this, but my father does own one of these buildings at 2299 West Main Street. However, I did not find that it would be, that I wouldn't be able to not be quasi judicial on the matter of approving or not approving.
Well, this one, well, we spoke in that, you know, in terms of a conflict of interest, do you believe that you have a conflict of interest with
No.
awarding a grant to that property that you just named?
No.
Okay. So I think we have a motion on the floor, is that correct? And then
Has everybody voted?
discussion.
Or are you still discussing?
I believe we've moved to a vote.
It is.
We've actually already got a vote on the
Yeah.
board. Do we, if we assume that it's, if everybody wants to keep it the same, does the vote just stay?
Is everybody okay with the vote they have in there? Okay. You can,
Clerk, will you announce the vote?
you have to close it. Then I will. The vote is 6 in favor. Sorry, the vote is 6 in favor, the motion carries.
So public hearing none, and then we move on to comments and reports. Ask for, what is everybody's report?
Yep, I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that the applicant for the patio enclosure at the Riva Real has decided to rescind their application, so no further action will be required for this item.
I have a report that I sent out your packet with the correct minutes of September 16th, but in the communication, it said August 19th. So if I could ask Henderson to
Right, yes, I move that we approve the September 16th minutes, please.
second,
I'll second.
and another vote.
And another vote, guys.
The vote on the September 16th minutes is 6 in favor, the motion carries, and thank you for that.
Is that all for the reports? Cool. With no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 6:55 PM.